I know last night your friend Skip tweeted something with the whole Hamlin situation, and I know a lot of people weren't happy with the way he tweeted or what he tweeted. So I'm curious what your thoughts were on that, and also, the fluidity of Twitter. Do you feel like that's detrimental?
We live in different times. I'm not about to judge Skip Bayless or anybody else for saying the wrong thing. God knows I have. Okay.
Well, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Dima, Mary J. Blige music. So, guys, today we want to talk about what is going on with Stephen A. Smith. And of course, Stephen A. Smith is a wildly talented sports commentator on ESPN, very similar to that of Shannon Sharpe over at Undisputed. And you heard a little bit of what Stephen A. Smith had to say before this video started. We're going to play that whole entire clip in its entirety to get the full context of it today. But now, let's look at what's going on here. Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith represent two sides of the same coin. Both are black. Both went to historically black colleges and universities. And while Shannon Sharpe had a illustrious career as a tight end, winning 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos and Ravens respectively, Stephen A. Smith was working up, pulling himself up the ranks of journalists and media personalities in the basketball world. However, both of them have very similar commentaries toward Black America, towards things that brothers do, the Deion Sanders situation. But here's kind of where they differ. Shannon Sharpe tends to be more sympathetic towards blacks in the case of things that happen to black people. He talks more about that socially than I think Stephen A. Smith does. But what we do see is Stephen A. Smith was supporting Jerry Jones, even though Jerry Jones was in that Little Rock, Arkansas high school picture of those blacks not being allowed into North Little Rock High School in the 50s. But more on that. Now, both of these people feel different about Skip Bayless. Shannon Sharpe, who is consistently disrespected by Skip Bayless and sometimes emasculated. I really believe that Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe is really tired of him. A lot of black athletes do not like Skip Bayless. I'm going to do a video where Matt Barnes is even saying that he had to stop a lot of athletes from beating Skip Bayless up. But now when it comes to Stephen A. Smith looks at Skip Bayless completely different than Shannon Sharpe. Let's play the whole entire clip and we'll find out why.
I know last night your friend Skip tweeted something with the whole Hamlin situation, and I know a lot of people weren't happy with the way he tweeted or what he tweeted. So I'm curious what your thoughts were on that, and also, the fluidity of Twitter. Do you feel like that's detrimental?
We live in different times. I'm not about to judge Skip Bayless or anybody else for saying the wrong thing. God knows I have. Okay? Intent matters. Yes, you got to be sensitive out there. Mental health matters. Life matters. Human beings' well-being matters. And when you speak, you have to make sure that you're sensitive to everything that you can be sensitive to in articulating your position. Skip can defend himself. I will tell you that I've spent years disagreeing with Skip Bayless. I disagree with him now, and I'm going to disagree with him into the future. But he's still my brother. He's still a guy that brought me here on First Take. And I know who he is. I know what he's about. Do I agree with everything he says or how he says it or the timing with which he uses to say things? No. But the flip side to it is that I know that by and large his heart is in the right place, and people make mistakes. And so I've always been his brother. I'm going to continue to be his brother no matter what. Because if I can tell my brother, my late brother, God rest his soul, but when he was alive, I told him he was wrong. I love my sisters every day. I tell them when they're wrong. They tell me when I'm wrong. So I don't have any problem telling Skip. I'll save that for Skip when I see him. You're going to get yourself caught up from time to time. But if your heart's in the right place and you truly meant no harm, and you're willing to apologize, this country has shown you on many, many occasions it will allow you to move on. And I'm an eyewitness to that.
So do you see that respect that Stephen A. Smith has towards Skip Bayless? It's amazing, isn't it? You know, you very rarely hear Stephen A. Smith so meek and humble. Now, sometimes he will be like that. I mean, he addressed Dr. Umar in a very similar fashion, but the respect that he has, he doesn't want to criticize him for that tweet. Many black players are furious with Skip Bayless, wants him to delete the tweet. I believe even Shannon Sharpe has now officially responded. But now, why isn't Stephen A. Smith taken up for Shannon Sharpe? Because their mentality is the same. You see, this is what happens. Stephen A. Smith lets you know straight out the gate. Look, Jerry Jones, he ended it in the nobody. Slavery was a long time ago. This is where I stand. Very Akon-ish like, right? Like Akon. See, Stephen A. Smith lets you know that those things he really don't care about. But Shannon Sharpe is more of a pretender. See, he pretends to care about it, but then when you find out how he feels when he's talked about Jackson State and Deion, how he even, trashed Savannah State saying, listen, I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to a Power 5 university and all of this, right? And this is the reason why Stephen A. Smith will never come to the defense of Shannon Sharpe, because both of them have the same mindset, although they're very successful. And see, this is why black men don't get it. Climbing up corporate America, even if you make $12 million a year, which is what Stephen A. Smith has, it doesn't matter because the mentality is the same. It's the same. There's no ownership in that mentality. That mentality still gives precedence to white America, which is no problem with that. I've had white people help me. But the reality is that Stephen A. Smith isn't in any position to take Shannon Sharpe's back. And Shannon Sharpe will never be in a position to do the same thing for Stephen A. Smith. Want to know why? They agreed to do it. You see, so nobody can have your back because you have all that money and still you don't have power. So you still got to give props to the guy that disrespected black athletes, which is Skip Bayless. And a lot of times men think money equals power all the time, and it doesn't. Shannon Sharpe is powerless. He wants to quit undisputed. He can't. Shout out to brother Robert Littall. Robert Littall over at Black Sports Online, I was listening to his podcast. He said, listen, Shannon Sharpe signed a 3-year deal. If he leaves First Take, he can't work for 3 years. And his podcast, we don't know if Shannon Sharpe that podcast is being produced by Fox Sports. We don't know. You don't know. And also, we know Sterling Sharpe. I remember Sterling Sharpe on the Packers. These kind of injuries like this could be very sentimental for Shannon Sharpe because his brother Sterling Sharpe, who was an excellent receiver. I mean, Brett Favre. I mean, he ended a few receivers' careers. Robert Brooks was one of them. Sterling Sharpe, just throwing the ball into double coverage, doing stupid stuff, just getting receivers killed. And that was back in the day where it wasn't no protection on receivers as it is now. So, but anyways, that's probably a very sentimental thing for Shannon Sharpe, seeing athletes get hurt. But again, Stephen A. Smith, knowing that, he can't come out there and defend him. That's why it's better to have ownership and own $500,000 a year than to be somewhere working and making $12 million a year and you don't own anything. You're still bound by a contract. Again, black men need to understand this. You see, I'd rather be Robert Littall anyway on Black Sports Online than to be Stephen A. Smith or to be Shannon Sharpe, because at least I own it. And when you don't own anything, you don't own what you have, you're bound by the contract, bro. You can say you're a highly paid person with no influence. At least ownership. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.